America's botched-up exit from Afghanistan has breathed new life into another monster. It's called the Islamic State Khorasan, or the ISIS-K. America's exit has revived this group. It has carried out at least 7 major attacks in Afghanistan. ISIS-K was behind the year's deadliest terrorist attack, the Kabul airport suicide bombing. The same group now targets a mosque almost every Friday. For months, the world has been wondering, how did the ISIS-K rise so quickly? How has it managed to stay one step ahead of the Taliban? Turns out, America's exit did not just revive the ISIS-K, it gave them a ready-made fighting force. Remember the Afghan military, the one that the Americans trained and equipped? The force that crumbled before the Taliban? Well, many of them have managed to escape and they're now joining the Islamic State Khorasan. On Gravitas tonight, we'll tell you how the Islamic State is mounting a comeback in Afghanistan thanks to the Americans. Here's what we know so far. The ISIS-K has recruited a few former Afghan soldiers. These are highly skilled soldiers we're talking about. Who are these men? Former intelligence officers and members of elite military units in Afghanistan. They bring a lot to the table for the ISIS Khorasan. They add expertise in intelligence gathering. They can train terrorists in warfare techniques. These officers were trained by the Americans. Now that training will benefit the ISIS-K. In fact, they're already at work. An Afghan army officer was killed a week ago. He had joined the ISIS-K and died in a clash with the Taliban. As an army officer, he was posted in Gravitas. There he commanded a weapons and ammunition depot for the Afghan forces. In the last few weeks, the ISIS-K has added 4 more former Afghan soldiers to its ranks. This includes a former senior member of the Afghan Special Forces. Why are they joining the ISIS-K? Well, we could think of 3 reasons. Number 1 is protection from the Taliban. Number 2 is money. And number 3 is revenge. And for some of these people, revenge is the main reason why they're joining the ISIS. They have an axe to grind with the Taliban. You see, soon after they took power, the Taliban targeted former Afghan soldiers. We reported many such stories. They searched their homes. They demanded absolute surrender from the military. The Afghan military had collapsed. The resistance forces too had been crushed. The soldiers had nowhere to go, so they joined the ISIS Khorasan. It's the only armed group that can fight the Taliban today in Afghanistan. So these soldiers decided to enroll. And the numbers are only expected to go up in the coming days. Thousands of them are unemployed right now. This includes intelligence officers, soldiers, police personnel, and they hadn't been paid their salaries for months. So more than a job, they need protection from the Taliban. At the moment, ISIS-K promises that and more. And this is a dangerous trend, one that we've seen before, not in Afghanistan, but in Iraq. The Americans, remember, took down the Saddam Hussein regime in Iraq. They were hunting for weapons of mass destruction. They did not find any. All they did was destroy a state and dethrone a dictator. The American invasion created a power vacuum. The Islamic State filled it. Do you know who helped the ISIS in Iraq? The former generals of Saddam Hussein. Consider this. In 2015, the ISIS had 40 leaders at the top, 40. And more than 25 of these leaders had served in the Iraqi military in the past. We looked up their backgrounds. Almost all of them were former officers of Saddam Hussein's army. Like Abu Omar al-Baghdadi. He was the head of the Islamic State in Iraq. Before that, he was an Iraqi policeman. Members like these recruited more Baathists into their ranks. The likes of Abu Muslim al-Afari al-Turkmani, Abu Ali al-Anbari, and Abu Ayman al-Iraqi. These are all members of the Iraqi forces. They were members of the Iraqi forces, and they ended up being senior leaders of the Islamic State. Now, the same is happening in Afghanistan. It's going the Iraq way. The Islamic State Khorasan is following the very same playbook. The US went to Afghanistan to fight the enemies it created, like the Taliban and Osama bin Laden. They've left 20 years later, leaving behind a perfect playground for violence. They've left a ready-made workforce for the ISIS Khorasan. These terrorists then wasted no time. They've launched an offensive to create a new caliphate. The return of the ISIS could pull American forces back into Afghanistan. In fact, the Pentagon says they expect an attack in 6 months. So much for America's war on terror, destroying countries, creating war machines, and feeding terrorist groups. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.